Hello there, welcome back to one more video on the Linux series. So far we have seen how to create a Linux server on the cloud, how to host multiple websites, how to manage different SE Linux policies and all those kind of stuff. Now in this video we will see how to install or set up MySQL server on the cloud. In case you did not follow the previous videos, I will recommend to watch them at least some parts whichever you are not familiar with. We already covered how the DNF works or YUM works, how to install and remove package and all those things. So I will directly go ahead, DNF search MySQL, and we have MySQL server here. DNF install MySQL server, it's 21 MB, and yes. Now before it installs, currently for this demo we have set up a Linux server, Alma Linux, in Vulture. We purchased a cloud compute instance which is running at $5 per month. Now this is done. MySQL is installed. It's quite fast. Now that we have installed MySQL, we need to check the version, whether it is installed correctly or not. MySQL version. So MySQL version is there. It is present. And let us also check DNF list installed and confirm if MySQL is installed. Sorry, it should be grep MySQL. Okay, MySQL is there and MySQL server is also there. Clear it up. This part we have already covered in Nginx series. There are three things which we need to be a better admin. One is understanding of system control, which will allow you to start a server or start any service, start, stop, restart the services. And along with system control, we should also have command over firewall command. So if you know how to make use of firewall command, you will be able to open the different ports required by different services. And finally, to see which service or which application is listening at which port, you need to make use of socket statistics or network statistics. Okay, so let us check system CTL status of MySQL. Okay, it says MySQL.service is not found because it's not the actual name which is present. But in case you face this error, there are two places where you need to check. I exactly know why this error happens, but you also need to know where to check. The places are two places. One is it will be in etc. systemd system. If you go inside, you will get all the .d files like nginx.service.d, sshkeygen.service.d. So whatever ends with this .d and .service are your service files. So you can search for nginx service and the system control will give you that. If you search for sshd, let me show you. System control status of sshd, it will give me all the SSHD service information. So SSHD is a service. Now likewise, MySQL, I do not have anything, but where can I find this information? Even in the above file, it is not present. So like I said, there are two locations. One is in etc. systemd, like this location, the present working directory. Let me write print working directory. So one is present in etc. systemd system, other is present in user live systemd system. So this one is the second location. This location, if I list, I will have all my service files. If I can go from top to bottom, different service, SSD service is there, and what else, IPR dump services there. Likewise, if I get down, my MySQL service will also be present. So MySQL service, it is not called as MySQL.service, it is MySQL d.service. That's why it was not giving us. In the above step, if you want to understand, you can grep with MySQL. So it will tell me there is two service. One is MySQL d.service, MySQL d.service. So when you are searching from system control, you need to search for MySQL D, and it is now loaded but disabled, not enabled and not active. So let us system control enable MySQL D, system control start MySQL D. Now MySQL service will be started. Okay, let me clear the screen. Once this is started, the next step is we need to check the socket statistics for listening ports, TCP, UDP, port number, TCP, UDP port and numeric resolve. And it will tell me MySQL is now listening at 33060. So 3306 MySQL D is listening here, 3306. So but you should also note that it is not open externally. Now we can do two things. I can open MySQL within the server itself, like I can directly give MySQL and it will open. Now we have opened up MySQL. Here I can go ahead and show databases. Now there are 4 databases. I can now create a database, create database, testdb. Now I created a database. Again, if I want to show databases, now testdb is created, but this will not work from outside. We have 2 ways of reaching out. I will now try to use my MySQL workbench to connect. I will try to connect to make a new connection, and connection name is mouse events test, and location is 65.20.85, 65.20.85, 65.20.85, 185.185. Root, and there is no password. Let us try to connect. It should not connect because this 3306 port is not yet opened, so it should throw me an exception. Not only the port, there are multiple errors there. We will quickly see them. So it's taking too much time, so it's obviously not connected. So let us come back to the error shortly. Before that, I failed to connect. First and foremost thing, we need to know whether we are able to reach this location at this port or not. I will open PowerShell in Windows to see whether we are able to reach the specific IP address at this port, just to ensure the port is open on us. So in this way we will know that this is not an error, and in case some error happens, it is because of something else. PowerShell has an option called testnet connection. Let's see. Okay, testnet connection is not recognized because it says it is not present. Obviously, when you install PowerShell, many of the default functions would be available, and I am using Windows. This is purely optional. You don't even have to worry about this part. You can even skip this part. Get modules will be there. Okay, it's not modules, it's module. So basically there is only one module which is available in my PowerShell. We can go ahead and say get module list available. Now what will happen? PowerShell will try to open the default directories where the PowerShell modules are installed, and it will try to load all the available modules. So all modules will now be loaded into memory. Now it should give me all the modules which are available. Now let us try testnet connection. So testnet connection is available. I have just directly cleared it up. Now testnet connection. Go and look at a port 65.20.85.185 at port 3306. If the ping is successful, if it is able to reach this port, we will receive true. Let's wait for one more minute. So it failed. So it's not able to reach the specific IP address at the specific port. But what if we remove the port? If you remove the port, it should then try to reach a default port which is nothing but 80, and it is true. So we can clearly say that the port 3306 is not open, and that is the reason why our MySQL workbench is not able to connect. Let's go back to our Linux server, And from the Linux VPS, I'm going to use firewall command, add port. I will open 3306 with protocol TCP, and now this is open. Now socket statistics, listening ports at TCP, UDP, NP. It should tell me that MySQL is now listening at this is already we cleared it, right? So what we did now, firewall command, list ports. Now we have 3306 open, 5001 open, 5002 open. Everything is open now. So let us go ahead now and test this connection. If you are able to reach this port at 3306. Now that we have opened the port, it should now return true. Now this is true. So we could see that at this specific port we are able to reach the IP address. So the port is open and we know that it is working. If we try to give now, it should fail, not with the previous error but with a new error called user is not allowed to connect. Why? Because by default the user that we created in MySQL will be able to reach only from the local host. Let us just check that. Open up MySQL and here show databases, and I will just choose the MySQL database because that is where the user information is present. I will go ahead and say use this database, use MySQL first, and MySQL database is now being used. Show tables, and we only need to focus on the user table. So first let us describe what is that user table, and this table contains username, host, and these two are the most important thing, and also the password. Anyhow, the password will be hashed one, so we don't need to worry about that. I will just use user host and password. Where is password? Do I see password somewhere? I don't see password anywhere. Anyhow, so I will directly go ahead and say select user host from user table. So you could see that user an account called user is present, but this user can only reach the local host from only reach the MySQL server from localhost. We need further information as well. For instance, authentication string is nothing but the password, then the plugin. Let me do one thing. I will also select from the user whatever we are selecting. I will use plugin as well. Okay, plugin. This is really very important. The reason is when you are directly trying to reach, anyhow at the end of the day you are going to reach your database through what? Through your web backend, maybe using some kind of an API. At that point of time, the caching SHA-2 password will not work. You need to have something called native password. In from Microsoft version 8.1 or something, the caching SHA-2 password is being used, or else we will be using something called as MySQL underscore native underscore password. If you are still using .NET framework or other old frameworks, this caching SHA-2 password will not or might not work for you. How do we create a new user? Create user, username, let's call it as remote root at host. It's not local host, it should be from anywhere. So percentage is anywhere, identified with MySQL underscore native underscore password by the password here. Now this is the format. You will start create user, username at percentage is nothing but host, identified with. But in our case, we are not going to identify with native password. But if you have any issues, then you need to create with native password. If you have any issues from accessing from your backend, because that depends on which framework you are using, maybe PHP or .NET. I have faced these issues with the .NET and it was not able to connect with anything else. So I had to change it to native password. Anyhow, so now password should be provided. I will just change the password. Okay, here it is. I have created the user now with a specific password. I have blurred the password area. So let us try to connect with the same password if it is working or not. So test, it's connected. So now we are able to connect to a cloud MySQL work server from our local MySQL workbench. If I open this up, I should now be able to see all the information needed. So here, let's say show databases, enter, sorry, here it is, control enter, show databases. Currently, I am not seeing the database. Okay, why I do not see the database? Because even though we created the user does not have grant. And show grants for user is root at localhost. Show the grants for this user. Okay, he has so many grants. It's the same, I believe. Okay, I cannot clear like this. I need to give. Okay, now what I will do, show grants for remote root at percentage. Let us enter. There are two ways how we can do this. We can specify specific, like if you want to grant access only to one database, you can specify the database name. For that we need to know the databases, right? So currently there are 4 databases. So let us create one more database. Create database testdb2, and now if I run, I will have 2 databases, testdb, testdb2. Now what I am going to do, I am going to say, you don't need to follow this clear function frequently. Reason why I'm using clear function is it's going till the bottom. For recording purpose, it's abstracting. That's the reason why I'm clearing frequently. And this command means that it will work only in Linux. It means that the clear is not MySQL command. Clear is Linux bash command. That's why I'm giving this. So the not present. So what we will do, grant all privileges on a specific database name testdb to remote root at percentage. So here what we say, on testdb all privileges grant to this user. That's done. Now if we see show grants for remote root at percentage. Oops, I made a mistake. You could see that we are specifying MySQL dot testdb. So it is assuming MySQL is the database and testdb is the table name. First, let us remove that grant. Revoke all privileges should not put the database and table name in a quote mark. It should be plain. Okay, now let us say show grants for remote root. He has only one grant. Now what I am going to do, grant all privileges on testdb dot star. So on the database testdb, for all tables grant the privileges to remote root at percentage. Now if I go back here and check, I have testdb. So now I can create table in testdb, like use testdb, and after that table you need to define all the at least one column name should be provided. So create a table, user table, followed by, I will say one column name is ID, which is an int. That's more than enough. So now if I show tables, I have user table. Now if I describe that table, describe user table. So that table has only one field called ID and it is an integer. Okay, these are all related to how you are managing your database. But this video is not about that. This video is about setting up a MySQL server on the cloud. So we will not focus there. So this is how you grant privilege to a specific database. But what if you want to grant a privilege to all databases? You can simply say grant all privileges on all database, all tables to remote root at percentage. So when this is done and I go to my MySQL workbench and say show databases, it should open up not only testdb, it should also show me the testdb1. There we go. And testdb2, sys system, all the databases are present. But this is usually not how you will provide access to people. You will only provide access to a specific database to a specific user. And that's it. So let me exit here and clear the screen. So that's how we will connect or set up a MySQL server on the cloud and connect from a remote machine. Thank you for watching this video. We will see you in one more.